I remember standing there, my heart racing, as he smirked at me like he owned the world. $8,000 every month. Or my sister. The words hit me like a punch. I couldn't believe someone I once trusted could be so cruel. It wasn't just money he wanted, it was control, power over my life, and he thought he could scare me into giving it to him. I felt a mix of fear and anger, but deep down, something inside me shifted. I realized I couldn't let him win. I had to be smart, calm, and plan my next move carefully. Showing him that I was scared would only give him more strength. So I pretended to shrink back, nodding slowly, hiding the fire growing inside me. After he left the room, I sat down and thought. I couldn't just react with anger. I had to protect myself and my family. I started writing everything down, every threat, every demand. I kept messages, notes, and even remembered the little things he said that showed his true colors. If anyone ever doubted me, I needed proof. That night, I talked to my closest friend, Jason. I told him everything. He didn't judge me, he listened, and he helped me see a way forward. Together, we came up with a plan, small steps to regain control. I would not be manipulated, not anymore. In the following days, I acted as if I was scared, giving him the illusion that his threats worked. He started feeling confident, thinking I was giving in. But inside, I was preparing. Every decision he made, every word he said, I recorded in my mind, planning the moment when I could finally turn the tables. I realized strength wasn't just in confronting him right away. It was in being patient, observing, and acting with precision. And the thought of finally freeing myself, of reclaiming my life from someone so selfish, gave me a sense of determination I had never felt before. I knew one thing for sure, he wouldn't control me, and he would never see it coming when I finally acted. From that moment on, I made a promise to myself, I would fight back, protect my family, and show him that no threat could ever take away my freedom or my dignity. I kept thinking about all the times I had trusted him, how I had believed in his promises, and it made my chest tighten. Looking back, the signs were there, but I had ignored them because I wanted to see the good in him. Every sweet word, every thoughtful gesture now felt fake, like part of a plan to control me. I had been blind, and the realization hit me like ice water. It wasn't just the money or the threat anymore, it was the fact that someone I cared about so deeply could betray me so completely. I remembered how he would smile while I shared my dreams, how he would nod as if he understood me, and it made me sick to know it had all been a performance. The betrayal wasn't just shocking, it was personal. It cut deeper than anything I had felt before. I started to question everything, my judgment, my trust, even myself. How could I have let someone manipulate me for so long? How could I have thought he actually cared? I felt a mix of anger, sadness, and disbelief. But amidst the pain, I also felt a spark, a realization that I couldn't let him get away with this. I couldn't stay a victim. I began to notice more clearly the patterns I had ignored. The way he subtly pushed me, the small lies he told, the way he tried to make me feel guilty, it all made sense now. His charm wasn't genuine, it was a mask for greed and control. Understanding this gave me clarity, even if it hurt. The sting of betrayal fueled something inside me. I didn't want revenge for the sake of anger, I wanted to protect myself, to regain my dignity, and to make sure he could never manipulate me again. It was a turning point. I decided that I would not let someone else's selfishness dictate my life. I would be smarter, stronger, and careful from now on. The pain of betrayal was real, but it also became a teacher. It showed me the truth about him, and more importantly, it showed me that my strength was bigger than any deception. I resolved that I would rise above this, not letting the hurt break me, but using it to build the life I deserved. After realizing how deeply he had betrayed me, I knew I couldn't rely on my memory or instincts alone. I needed proof, solid evidence that could protect me if things went wrong. I started collecting everything I could find. Every message he sent, every note, every email, even small details like receipts and bank statements, I saved them. Nothing was too small to record. I set up a system. I created folders on my computer, both digital and physical, so that everything was organized. I labeled everything by date and by the situation. That way, if I ever had to show someone what he had done, there would be no question about the truth. I didn't want to leave anything to chance. I also started paying closer attention to our conversations. I took notes quietly, writing down what he said, how he said it, and the timing of his threats. It was exhausting, but I knew it was necessary. Every detail mattered. I realized that if I confronted him without evidence, it could easily backfire. He might deny everything, twist the story, or manipulate others against me. I had to be prepared. While gathering proof, I also observed his behavior carefully. I noticed the little inconsistencies, the times when he lied or exaggerated. Each small lie became another piece of the puzzle, another indication of his true intentions. It was painful to see the person I trusted acting so deliberately, but it also made me stronger. I wasn't blind anymore. I told myself that this wasn't just about revenge. It was about protecting myself and taking back control. Every piece of evidence I collected became a shield. I wasn't going to let fear or guilt stop me. I needed to be smart, patient, and precise. By the end of it, I felt a mix of relief and determination. Relief that I had concrete proof of what had been happening, and determination that I could finally act with confidence. I knew that the next time I faced him, I wouldn't be vulnerable. I would be ready, and I would take back the power he thought he had over me. From that moment, gathering evidence wasn't just a task, it became my way of reclaiming control and preparing for the moment I could finally stand up to him. I realized that rushing in and confronting him too early could ruin everything I had carefully prepared. So, I decided to play along. I acted scared and nervous, letting him believe that his threats had worked. Every word I said, every gesture I made, was calculated to keep him confident and unaware of my real intentions. He started bragging, showing off how much control he had over me. He smiled smugly, thinking he had won. I could see the pride in his eyes, and I used it against him. I never interrupted him, never argued, never gave him any reason to suspect that I was planning anything. Inside, I was calm and focused. Every move he made, every demand, I observed carefully, making mental notes for the right moment. During this time, I also kept strengthening my plan. I thought about the people I could trust, the ways to protect my finances, and how to make sure he couldn't hurt me again. I rehearsed conversations, imagined his reactions, and prepared evidence to show when the time was right. I knew patience was my greatest weapon. Even when he tried to manipulate me emotionally, I stayed composed. He would drop comments to make me feel guilty, to make me doubt myself. But I didn't let his words reach me. I smiled politely, nodded, and let him think I was intimidated. Every small victory for him was secretly a step closer to my own victory. I also made sure to maintain my normal life as much as possible. I kept working, talking to friends, and planning my future. I couldn't let him see that he was losing his grip. Keeping up appearances was exhausting, but I reminded myself it was temporary. It was all part of the plan to turn the tables without giving him a hint. By the end of the week, I felt more confident than ever. Playing along was difficult, but it allowed me to control the situation from behind the scenes. I knew that once I acted, he wouldn't see it coming. He thought he was in charge, but in reality, I had already taken back my power without him even realizing it. In that moment, I understood that sometimes, the best revenge is not rushing in, but quietly preparing while your enemy believes they are winning. After days of pretending to be scared and keeping everything inside, I realized I couldn't do this alone. I needed someone I could trust completely, someone who understood me and wouldn't judge me. That's when I turned to Jason, my best friend who had always been like a brother to me. I knew he would help me think clearly and keep me grounded. I sat down with him one evening and told him everything, every threat, every lie, every moment I felt trapped. As I spoke, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. Jason listened without interrupting, without questioning me. He didn't make me feel weak or foolish. For the first time since this nightmare began, I felt truly supported. Together, we started planning. We discussed how to expose him in a way that couldn't be ignored. We talked about the evidence I had collected, the messages, the emails, the receipts. Jason helped me organize everything, pointing out details I had missed and giving me ideas on how to present it so there would be no doubt about the truth. He also helped me prepare mentally. He reminded me that I was not at fault, that his threats and manipulations were entirely his responsibility. He encouraged me to stay strong and patient, to wait for the right moment before acting. Knowing that someone had my back gave me courage I didn't know I had. We also discussed safety and precaution. Jason made sure I had support nearby if things got tense, and we set up small steps I could take to regain control without putting myself in danger. It wasn't just about revenge, it was about reclaiming my life and making sure I would never feel powerless again. By the end of our conversation, I felt more confident than I had in weeks. I wasn't alone anymore, and the plan wasn't just in my head, it was real, clear, and actionable. With Jason by my side, I knew I could face him when the time came. I finally felt a sense of control returning, and with it, a glimmer of hope that I could turn this situation around completely. Having an ally made all the difference. For the first time, I felt like I had the strength to confront the betrayal and finally take back my life. The night finally came when I knew I had to act. He thought he had won, that I was scared and would give in to his demands. I could see it in the way he walked into the room, full of confidence, smiling as if he owned the world. But this time I wasn't going to back down. I had everything I needed to confront him. I started calmly, keeping my voice steady. I laid out all the proof I had collected, messages, emails, notes, receipts, everything that showed his threats and manipulations. As I spoke, I watched his smug expression slowly fade. His eyes flickered, and I could see doubt creep in. He realized that I wasn't the frightened, compliant person he had imagined. I didn't shout or argue. I didn't need to. The evidence spoke louder than words. I showed him how each lie, each threat, and every attempt to control me had been documented. I reminded him of the promises he broke, the fear he tried to instill in me, and the way he had underestimated me. He tried to interrupt, tried to explain, but I held up my hand and let him know it was too late. His confidence wavered further with every fact I presented. I could feel the power shift in the room. The fear and shock in his eyes were nothing compared to the satisfaction I felt. I was no longer his victim, and he knew it. That moment felt like years of tension finally breaking. I could breathe again, knowing I had taken back control. I wasn't just standing up for myself, I was reclaiming my life from someone who thought he could manipulate me. After the confrontation, he stayed quiet, unsure of what to say or do next. I didn't need to gloat or threaten. My calm and the evidence were enough to show him that I had won, not with anger, but with patience, planning, and clarity. From that night on, everything changed. I no longer feared him or his threats. I felt strong, confident, and in control. The turning point wasn't just about confronting him, it was about proving to myself that I could rise above the betrayal and reclaim my dignity, no matter what he tried to do. I looked at him and finally spoke from the heart. I told him everything I had felt over the past weeks, the fear, the sadness, and the betrayal. I told him how his threats and lies had broken the trust one once had in him, how every word he said had been a calculated attempt to control me. I told him how much it hurt to realize that someone I cared about could be so selfish and cruel. As I spoke, I could feel all the emotions I had been holding back, anger, hurt, and relief, mixing together. It was overwhelming, but I needed him to understand the impact of his actions. I didn't hold anything back. I explained how he had underestimated me, how he thought I would fold under pressure, and how wrong he had been. Every claim he had made about his power over me was false. He tried to defend himself, saying he didn't mean it or that I was overreacting. But I could see through every excuse. I saw the nervousness in his eyes, the tiny signs of guilt that he couldn't hide. For the first time I realized he was no longer in control. I had the power now, and he could feel it. I didn't shout or insult him, but my words were firm. I spoke clearly, making sure he understood that his manipulations wouldn't work on me again. I reminded him that actions have consequences, and that I had taken steps to protect myself. I could see him shrinking under the weight of the truth, realizing that I wasn't the same person he had tried to intimidate. The confrontation was emotional, yes, but it was also liberating. For the first time, I felt completely honest and free. I wasn't afraid to express my pain, my anger, or my disappointment. And in that honesty, I found strength. By the end of it, he was silent, unable to argue or manipulate further. I felt a sense of closure, knowing that I had stood up for myself fully and fearlessly. I had confronted the betrayal, faced the lies, and taken back my voice. That moment marked a turning point, not just in our relationship, but in my life. I knew I could move forward, stronger and wiser. After the confrontation, I knew it was time to take full control of my life. I decided to cut all ties with him completely. No calls, no messages, no contact. I didn't owe him anything anymore. Every connection I had with him had been a chain, and I was breaking free. I focused on regaining my independence. I made sure my finances were secure and that he couldn't access anything that belonged to me. Every step I took was about reclaiming what he had tried to control. It felt empowering to know that I was the one making decisions now, not him. I also took time to focus on myself. I spent days thinking about what I wanted, planning my future, and reconnecting with the parts of my life I had ignored while dealing with his threats. For the first time in months, I felt a sense of relief I hadn't felt before. The constant worry and stress that had weighed me down were finally lifting. Even simple things, like making plans for the weekend or going out with friends, felt liberating. I realized how much energy I had wasted being afraid of him, and now I could use that energy for myself. Every small victory, paying my bills, going to work without fear, enjoying quiet moments, was proof that I was taking back control. He no longer had any power over me. The fear he had tried to instill was gone. I didn't feel the need to react to his opinions, his words, or his attempts to manipulate anyone around me. I had my boundaries, and I was determined to protect them. This wasn't just about money or control, it was about self-respect. I reminded myself every day that no one has the right to make me feel small or powerless. I had learned from the betrayal, and I was using that lesson to create a life where I could feel safe, strong, and independent. By the end of this process, I felt like a weight had been lifted from my shoulders. I was free, and for the first time in a long time, I could breathe. Taking back control wasn't just about him, it was about reclaiming my life and proving to myself that I was stronger than anyone who tried to hold me back. After I regained my freedom and control, I realized I didn't need to make a scene or lash out to get back at him. I decided to handle it quietly, letting my actions speak louder than words. Instead of confronting him publicly or causing drama, I chose a more subtle approach to expose the truth. I began by carefully sharing pieces of what had happened with mutual friends and family, making sure the facts were clear without exaggeration. I didn't gossip or vent out of anger. I simply told the truth about his threats, lies, and manipulations, showing how he had tried to control me. I wanted people to understand what had really happened without me needing to shout or fight. At first, it felt strange to watch from the sidelines as the truth spread quietly. But soon, I noticed changes. Friends who had once taken his side began asking questions. Family members who had been unsure started seeing the situation differently. The realization slowly sank in for him that everyone around him was starting to see his true colors. The best part was that I didn't need to confront him directly to make him feel the consequences of his actions. Every awkward glance, every hesitant word, every moment of unease he showed when he realized people now knew the truth felt like justice in itself. I didn't need to yell, threaten, or retaliate. My silence became my power. During this time, I also focused on my own life, keeping my energy positive and productive. I built stronger relationships with those who supported me and made sure I was living my life the way I wanted. Meanwhile, he struggled silently, knowing he had lost credibility and trust without me lifting a finger to attack him. It was strangely satisfying to watch him face the results of his own behavior. I realized that revenge didn't have to be loud or dramatic, it could be quiet, smart, and controlled. By letting the truth speak for itself, I regained not only my dignity but also a sense of calm confidence. I didn't just survive his betrayal, I turned it into a lesson for him and a victory for myself. In the end, seeing him squirm without me doing anything aggressive showed me that true power comes from patience, intelligence, and staying calm while others reveal themselves. After everything that happened, I knew it was time to truly move forward. I decided to start fresh, leaving the past behind without carrying its weight into my future. I became more cautious with whom I trusted, but I also grew wiser. The experiences had taught me lessons I couldn't learn any other way. The betrayal that had once felt unbearable no longer controlled me. Instead, it became a lesson in self-respect and resilience. I understood that trusting someone doesn't make you weak, but blindly giving power to the wrong person can cost you peace. I promised myself that I would never let anyone have that kind of control over my life again. I focused on building myself back up, mentally, emotionally, and financially. I pursued things I had put aside, rediscovered passions, and spent time with people who truly cared about me. Every step I took was about strengthening myself and creating a life I could be proud of. I realized that real strength isn't about fighting others, it's about rising above the people who try to pull you down. I also started trusting my instincts more. I learned to recognize manipulation and lies early, and I became confident in setting boundaries. I no longer felt guilty for saying no or for prioritizing my well-being. The experience taught me that protecting yourself isn't selfish, it's necessary. Over time, the fear, anger, and pain faded. I still remembered what happened, but instead of bitterness, I felt gratitude for the lessons I had learned. Every setback had shaped me into someone stronger, someone who could face challenges without losing control or peace of mind. Looking back, I realized that the betrayal wasn't just an ending, it was a turning point. It showed me the kind of person I truly wanted to be and the life I wanted to live. I had taken back my power, regained my independence, and learned to value myself above anyone else's control. Moving forward, I carried confidence and resilience in every decision. I knew that no matter what challenges came my way, I could rise above them. I had survived manipulation and threats, and now, I was stronger, wiser, and free, ready to live life on my own terms.